The cover is now dry and the napkin has been put all over those book pages. You can see that fading just a little bit round those edges. Hey guys, it's Jamie here, and I've finished the Dolce Vita journal. So as a February project, what I thought we might do is I found this really old book and I started messing about with it, and then I changed my mind, as you can see. I thought I would take you through how to make a journal out of an old book without doing an altered book, but by literally just reusing the cover, reusing some of the book pages, and any junk that's on my desk, plus anything that's on the ground around me, which is quite a bit of stuff, junk mail, envelopes, and also there is a February challenge going on, 2022 Feb Craft Prompt, and it's only weekly themes, thank goodness, not daily, and the 4 weeks are roses, lace, fairies and butterflies. I thought we'd go with that. What's on my desk plus the weekly prompts. Let's make a journal with pockets and flips and tucks using an existing cover. So first thing, just cut all the pages out. And if you have a sharp craft knife, that is fairly quick to do, just be careful. All of this is going to come out, but we're going to reuse these pages for backing, for background and that type of thing, so we don't want to waste them. It is an old cookbook. I am not destroying anything of any value. I've never even heard of the style cooking. Last time I did this, I didn't reinforce this central bit. This time I probably will. It just means taking a piece of cardboard, Amazon packaging, getting it to fit this space and gluing it in, but we will do that later. We're just going to put that to one side for now, and we are going to start by doing some stuff that's going to go in it. I don't know what we're going to do first of all. Let's have a look at the papers we've got. I've got some grunge. I've got all these papers from the Eclectic Paper Craft Art Company, which are science-based, which I think if I'm doing roses, lace, fairies and butterflies might be a nice juxtaposition. I won't use all of these. I'll probably mainly use the backgrounds. And then I've got various bits and pieces on the floor around me. Get some signatures together to begin with and then take it from there. I will organise a bit of space here to do that. I've also got McDonald's napkins and all sorts, bit of coffee stain paper. I'm trying to clear my craft desk, so this project could be clear your craft desk project of anything that's just sitting around and hasn't been used. I'm going to put some pages together. So make the signatures, not sew them in yet, but make them in the sense of knowing how many papers we're going to be playing with. To do that, I'm going to use a combination of book pages and normal coffee stain paper, because that was on my desk, some of grungy paper that was on my desk. Mix and match that. So let's get going. I'm going to trim off this ripped edge and then join these two together to make one page that would be folded into the journal. I probably haven't cut that terribly straight. To put these together, I am simply going to line them up as best I can. Some tape of some sort. I think this time I'll use my white tape. Any kind of tape would do. It's not hugely sticky. On the tape across the glue stick. Let's try and get a bit more, I don't know, yeah, that seems to be enough. A bit more glue onto the tape. Slight gap helps with the bending process, but it doesn't have to be huge because this is a page. Pop it down, we'll bring it over slightly and we'll see if I've left enough gap to bend that. Yeah, I think so. I will run again another piece of tape down here. I will bone folder that crease in because I have made that central bit quite thick. You don't need to use tape, you could just use a piece of paper. I could demonstrate that for you now, joining the pages with paper instead of tape. Remember, these have come out of the book, so at least we're recycling and reusing. let's take that much off. To get a piece of paper or two to be our join, we'll just take another page or two will do, and we will trim off the white bit of this. And we have two strips. We have our 2 pages. I'm gluing over, but I'm gluing over the bit that it's going to be glued on, so any spare glue hopefully will get caught up in this. Let's get these together with a very small gap. You can see that gap by the blue showing through. Turn it over, put a strip down this side. Actually, I could just risk doing it that way and pray it doesn't go too much over the page, but does catch the edges of the strip I'm putting on. As soon as that's dry, we're going to trim this one down to a text only area, because I don't want all the pages going into the journal to be the same size. I like it in a journal where you end up with different size pages. It gives more of a organic feel to me, or a more interesting feel. The one that we've just done is where? Here. So now you can see we have a different size page, which means when we start to put a signature together, we can have different bits, different widths, different bits. The idea is we use up what's on my desk. I'm going to take these margins off. Actually, because I like different size papers, before I even take the margins off, let's go for something completely different. So how about a narrow page? All of this is just personal choice and how you like a journal to look. Let's take the height down a bit then as well. So now we have a different size page again, so you can see how even the journal is beginning to get a stacking motion. I do have some coffee stained paper here. That's a huge piece. It's an A3 piece. So let's take it down this way first. And then this way. Let's just try going halves and see what we get then. Yep, another level. I am going to continue with this process until I have 12. So when I count, I go 1, 2, 3, I'm on 4. I have my 12 pages together. This is how they look. Going to be the center part of the journal. Let me just get the journal. As you can see, there will be plenty of space for a section at the front on the front cover and our flip envelopes on the back cover. What I think the next thing to do would be is to make this more stable. I need to measure this and cut a piece of cardboard to fit this central piece, glue it in and get that to hold. 2.5 centimeters will fit down that central bit. Check that for width. Oh, look at that. Too good. Perfect. We are going to shove a lot of glue down and pop that in and get it to stick on there. I will be using the Fabri-Tac, which is a silicone glue, so it'll glue to material, it will glue to paper, it glues just about everything. It's my favourite glue. Unfortunately, it's quite expensive, but it is my favourite because it is so strong. Let me just get this to Get right down into that, manipulate it into this. You can see I'm having a good shove of this. I'm going to clean up some excess glue so I can clip this and put a weight on it. I don't want the paper clip to stick to the glue, so I'm cleaning up the excess, and then my usual trick, bit of talcum powder, because it takes off all stickiness known to mankind, which means I can now risk putting things on there and they will not stick to that. So a couple of paper clips. Placing this under a quite heavy weight, big book, to squash it down while it dries. While that's drying, let's prepare the cover from the book pages. All I'm going to do is tear off some of the blanks areas so there's less of it, and we're down to more of the print. Just create some shapes, so rectangles, squares, columns. They can be large, they can be small, entirely up to you. The smaller they are, the longer it will take to make the cover. When we've got a nice pile of those together, get an ink of your choice. I'm using Distress Espresso, and ink the edges. You can crease them and ink in the creases as well. You're not looking for an even result. You can even mix up the inks you're using. So if you want to use a dark and then a vintage photo, or another colour like a pink or a blue, you can do that. And we're just getting a bit of a battered look to the pages, a bit stained all over. That's the next stage. I will prepare all of that. I am fully prepared and ready to go. I've got here my Collage medium matte. You can use any glue to do this. You can even use a glue stick. What we're going to do is we're going to cover the inside and outside completely with these old book pages that have now been distressed to look a bit older. And I'm going to go over the edge slightly so that we can wrap it when we do the front part of the cover. I'm just going to make sure that there's plenty on there to get it sealed down. Because it's distress ink, it will move around when it's wet. That's okay. This is only the base. We will be doing extra to the cover once all of this is down and dry. Because it's paper, it's flexible for going into these corners, but do lift it and play with it just to make sure you're giving it the flexibility it needs. I like doing my covers like this because it saves me having to worry about hospital corners or lining things up perfectly, getting over between the front cover and the inside cover. None of that becomes an issue if you're doing a patchwork cover. To me, this is the simplest cover you can do. It doesn't have to be book pages. Can be a series of patchwork pictures if you want. I just like to do extra treatments, so book pages work nicely for me. As you can see, it doesn't even matter if you've ripped the paper. It all just adds to the look, as does overlapping the pieces. I will continue to do this until the whole book is covered and dry and we go on to the next stage. It's back, it's dry, it's covered inside and out. The prompt is roses, and I found that I have these napkins with roses on. I haven't used for ages, so I've just split off the bottom layer. Keep that because we might use that on something else. This is going to go over here, however there's blue on here, so I'm going to do some blue just around the edges of this to give it a frame. And it's whether I do a dark blue or a palish blue. I'm thinking a palish blue. These are my watercolour crayons, and all I do is, I don't actually always add water. Sometimes I do, it depends what effect I want. I'm always a fan of strong colours, and I am so tempted to go in with a darker blue. I'm going to try and do something a bit more, even though I'm going to be using the science papers, a bit more girly and feminine. I don't know, I will see how it goes. But one of the prompts fairies, for goodness sake, and butterflies and lace. I mean, I'm not going to have much choice but to go girly and feminine, am I? I will be working this around the frame, front, back and inside cover. Because this is quite dreamy and has a lot of white roses in it, I've started to blend some white into this border to bring down the harshness of it a little bit and create that dreaminess, hopefully, to this border. So it's only two colours at the moment. It's this blue and the white. Obviously my finger has a combination, so it's helping smudge it in, and with this being a distress ink underneath, even moving this about is affecting the colours. I don't mind if the white is stronger in some places than the others, that's fine. That just adds to that cloudy, dreamy effect. I'm using Mod Podge basically because my other one's running out. In fact, my Mod Podge is running out. I go through glue a lot. It's probably the thing I buy the most of. I am going to start with the front cover and just work my way round, putting this rose napkin on this cover, and we're going to see what it looks like. I'm guessing it's going to look okay. Could do it in parts rather than fully cover, but I think sometimes I have done this in parts on one. This time go for a fullish cover. If it rips, it rips, but generally if you're gentle enough, it will go wrinkly, almost unavoidable. If you're gentle enough, it shouldn't rip. I'm going to leave bits hanging over because that can be taken round to the next bit, and again helps with covering it. Like any bits that are lifting on the edges will be helped by the napkin going over the top with the glaze on top of that as well. It all helps make this very, very, very secure. Look at how beautiful that blue border is showing through that. It will show through even more when it dries. Cover the whole lot very gently. Even if we have to go in and do a second coat, we will, because we want it protected, waterproofed. It's got watercolour under here, so we want to make sure it's waterproofed up as well. I'm going to slowly go around the whole thing, let it dry, and if necessary come back and do a top coat. If it isn't necessary, then we'll move on from there. The cover is now dry and the napkin has been put all over those book pages. You can see that fading just a little bit round those edges. I think it does give it an effect. This may be worked on much later with extra embellishments, but for the time being this is what we're going to work with. Where I use Mod Podge on the top of this, or even the collage glue, to be honest, you do get a slightly very slightly tacky residue. One way to overcome that, if you've not seen any of my previous videos, is just to get some baby powder. Nice smell anyway, let's be honest, and rub it over the surface of everything, and that takes off all your tackiness. It's getting really late, so I think we're going to leave it here for today. Next time we're going to do, I think possibly for this inside cover, some kind of flip journaling cards made from book pages and stuff that's on my desk. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It does help other people see the video on YouTube, helps grow the channel, and it's a free way to support what I'm doing here. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I do journaling, junk journaling, art journaling when I have time, and happy planning. And let me know what you think of this method of creating a book cover in the comments below. And I will see you next time.